All right.
Hoo-ha! All right. The show. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about Halo. We're gonna talk about the new TV show and how it ties into the book that was written around the same time that the show happens. And we're gonna talk about some of the how that relates to the game also. So today we have myself. I am the Mjolnir centrist, aka woke centrist, aka Dusty Cubes, so on and so on. And we have my colleague here, Andrew, aka Master Chief Mindgasms,
Yep.
aka Andrew Mindgasms. And we're going to talk and react to the book and the show. I know you've read the book before,
hmm
and you had a second reading recently. I had only read the book recently after watching the first episode of the show.
Okay.
They are now on episode 3. I think you got up to episode 2.
hmm
And let's talk about the first episode.
All right.
Um, so overall, I don't think you were. Were you at all anticipating this Halo TV show?
Not really. I mean, I had heard rumors about it being in development, but like a lot of other movie and TV adaptations of video games and books, I wasn't sure how much of the details were confirmed until I heard that it definitely pretty much until I heard that the show is on. I mean, I heard that it's in development, so I guess there was a little bit of a warning about that. So yeah, I mean, it's it's good that it finally got done because I heard that they were trying to get some sort of adaptation done for years.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed that there was a strange absence of hype surrounding this project. Like you, I did not really know about it until it was actually streaming and airing. So I didn't even know. I was like, what? There's a Halo TV show? Let me go check it out. You know, it's not something that I had any anticipation for. I simply didn't really know it was going to be released when it was released. Because the only reason how did I hear about it? I believe I was gonna go watch Star Trek Picard on Paramount Plus, and then I saw what's this Halo thing doing here? And then I went and watched it. I was like, oh shit, there's a Halo TV show.
Right.
So that's how I found out. You know, there were no ads that recommended me to watch this show. I had seen no trailers. I think I just heard an odd rumor here and there. I think the only rumor I saw was people were mad that the Cortana displayed in the show that was going to show up in the show uh, didn't look blue enough.
Okay.
Um, but otherwise, yeah, I hadn't even seen a trailer. And I knew a trailer was released because I checked after the fact. I was like, oh, I guess the trailer was released. I just didn't really know about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never even saw a trailer.
Yeah, so I know there's been other like Halo media projects. There's been a movie, I think it's called Forward Unto Dawn, which kind of covers like the early Master Chief stuff and then some later Master Chief stuff.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I haven't seen that.
yeah, I think it's a CG movie, so it's all like computer generated.
Oh,
There's
okay.
no like
Did you
physical
ever
actor.
did you ever watch that Red versus Blue series?
I heard about it, but I thought it was just like a jokey thing, so I really
Yeah,
never
it is.
got into it.
I remember watching it a long time ago. It was hilarious. It was like people playing the Halo game and then doing these voiceovers of joking around and insulting each other.
Yeah, I always wondered how they did it.
I think I'm not sure, but I think it's on YouTube. So you probably can still watch it, I bet.
Hmm. Yeah, because I think the production company behind that was named like Rooster Teeth or something like that.
Oh
But
yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
yeah, I think I could go back and check it out. I never actually watched any of that. I wonder why. I just didn't get into it. But so there's that Forward Into Dawn, and there's another Halo movie called Halo Nightfall that
Oh, okay.
originally released when they released the Master Chief Connection or Collection, and it's supposed to be a bridge between Halo 4 and Halo 5.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of that one either.
Yeah, I haven't heard it. Well, I haven't seen it, but I certainly have heard about it. I know it was released in episodes, but they just basically combined all the episodes together to make a movie. So it was a short miniseries.
Okay.
Uh, um, so now we have this new Halo show. So I guess one of the big reveals, right, is Master Chief has a face now.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was a little bit disappointed with in the show. Was it in I think it was at the end of the first episode he takes off his helmet and we see that it's the leprechaun from American Gods. And
Oh, is that who he is?
yeah,
I was
that's
like,
who
he
the act
looks familiar, and I was like, huh. So it is
yeah,
a
that's
leprechaun then.
yeah. And I liked in the video game that there was more of a mystery about who Master Chief actually is, and part of that, I guess, was probably done so you could imagine yourself as the Master Chief for the video game, and maybe it
Hmm.
does make more sense to know more about John himself for the show. But as you said, you mentioned the Fall of Reach book, and there I think at least a handful of other Halo books that actually get into the backstory and the training of John and how he becomes Spartan 117 and a super soldier and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure that they needed to do that, but I don't know. Hopefully they. I just want them to focus more on the aspects of the video game, like Spartans fighting Covenant, and I don't like this whole thing with them focusing on the human, like that refugee who he rescues. I hope they don't make the whole show about her or have her be a central character because I don't really care about her. I just care about the Spartans and the Covenant and the UNSC.
Yeah, so I'm okay with what's going on so far. Um, uh, like the opening episode was very, very good. There was a lot of action sequences. They
Yeah, I
didn't
like the
tone
first
down.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't tone down the amount of gore. So I am hoping that we're going to see more like conflict. But I also know it's like, okay, I know they're not going to do a ton of these because the budget for those scenes is probably they need a ton of budget for those scenes.
Right, right.
And I don't know if Paramount Plus has like Amazon money or Disney money. Like I don't know what kind of budget they're working with,
Right,
but it seems like it's probably less than like this much larger, more spectacular show.
right.
Um, but even though they should be treating this as like one of their flagship series, so I don't know what kind of budget they're looking at, but it looks like the budget for at least for the first episode was pretty decent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I liked the of course they had all those awesome battle sequences with the Spartans in the first episode. And I liked how I mean, it's been a long time since I played the video games, but I noticed that they even mimicked some of the sound effects from the video game, like Master Chief's shield recharging, for example.
Yeah,
And I liked how they did the first person perspective sometimes of the Spartans killing Covenant to make it feel more like a video game. I thought that was definitely the highlight of the first episode for me.
right. So I think the show is splitting the universe a little bit, um, and I'll tell you why. Because the books and the games are pretty close to like canon. Like I think they're both canon.
Right.
And this new show is kind of like the MCU, where like it's based on the canon, but it's not canon.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
Because
good
we
way of
have
putting it.
a few things that are happening in the show that kind of don't fit into the timelines of the books. Because the first enemy they fight are the elites,
Right.
and according to Halo War, Master Chief doesn't meet the elites until the fall of Reach.
Oh, okay. So that's different. That's different from the timeline.
Right.
Yeah, because
So
at this point in the first episode, the the like all of the Spartans that there are before, of course, the timeline of the first Halo game starts with Master Chief being the last Spartan. So during the Fall of Reach book, and also at the start of the show, there are other Spartans, but obviously Master Chief and the other Spartans at this time shouldn't have even come across the Elite yet. But on the show, they have them having been fighting Covenant for a while already, and other humans like those rebels where they go to stop the Covenant invasion of their base. Those people, and it seems like the common people other than the UNSC perhaps, think that the Covenant are a rumor, but the Spartans obviously have been fighting them for a while in the show, like I said. So I wonder why they made that change in the timeline. Maybe they
yeah,
wanted to introduce the Covenant sooner, but still have the backstory be with Master Chief as an adult, but also fighting with the other Spartans.
I wouldn't have mind at all of them introducing the Covenant sooner. I just thought it was weird that the first Covenant that they introduced were the elites. Like
Right.
I would have thought they would have kind of graduated up to the elites eventually,
Yeah,
as there are a
started
lot
with
of
the
lesser
grunts.
units. Yeah, either the grunts or the jackals or
Right.
those two at least. But they went straight to the elites, and the elites look like super beefy in the show. I don't remember them looking like so thick.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, they do look a little more jacked than they were in the video game. Yeah.
yeah, they look like I don't know Krogan from Mass Effect or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain. They're just very thick and beefy looking. Um,
Okay.
and so this there is an expanse of the lore that I really thought was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, I like
uh,
that.
so they actually got into like there are these other human conflicts going on, and it's almost as if the USNC is kind of an oppressing force.
Yeah, I like that too because they mention in in the Fall of Reach, their first mission is to go and capture this rebel leader before they fight the elite, and I like that they built that out a little more. I'm not sure what to think about having the UNSC as this oppressive force. I mean, it's interesting to add that nuance. I probably mostly out of nostalgia, it just bothers me a little bit because Master Chief, especially in the games, is just never questioning authority, basically.
Well, it's funny because the book kind of backs that up. And there's definitely some aspects of the book. Like one of the things I thought that was really interesting in the book is like it seems like Master Chief is has no morality,
Hmm.
um, at least in the book. So one of the things that happens in the book is three ODST challenge him to a fight, and
Right.
he fights them without restraint and basically murders them all.
Yeah.
And he does kind of question what he did, but he sees that he followed orders, so that's what he was supposed to do.
Right.
Um, and then, like throughout the book, at least, he always justifies his actions if it had anything to do with his orders or not. Like you don't
Right.
see him denying or going against orders at all. Like he will do what he's told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
and I
I'm pretty
like
sure it
that.
has something to do with his training,
Yeah. And I think in the book, Cortana isn't in it at all, right? But they talk about it and how it would basically enhance the benefits of being a biologically enhanced soldier even more, increase the Spartan's strength and speed and vision and all those sorts of attributes. And they made it, and in the show they made the role of Cortana this. I kind of like that they made I forget what that doctor's name is, but the one who
Halsey.
basically Doctor Who?
Halsey?
Yes. The blonde woman I'm talking about, right? Yeah.
Right.
Um yeah, I like that she's the one behind the Spartans, which is similar to the game, and they have her basically doing using illegal cloning to form Cortana, which is going to be this digital AI personality inside the Master Chief's helmet, which controls all of his functions of his suit that he's always wearing. And in the show, they have it a little different so that she's proposing Cortana as a way to make Master Chief not question authority anymore and always follow orders, because they have that thing in the show we were kind of alluding to where he rescues that refugee girl from that planet where they went to fight the elite who were attacking the rebels, and goes against the order that he had to kill her, which again is like one sort of thing that bothers me. But I do like that they kind of changed that dynamic with Cortana a little bit and made it a solution to that problem.
Yeah. But one thing I do want to mention, just by reading the book does kind of point to the USNC having kind of a
You
shade, like a shady division, and their morality can be gray, especially if we're talking about like the Spartan program and
yeah,
how they basically just steal kids and send clones back and replacements for the kids.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
and
yeah, what did you think about that? That's another difference between the book and the show that I don't again, there it kind of annoys me because it seems like they're just adding this in to increase the drama. In the book, when the kids first go to Reach to do their training to become Spartans before they become biologically enhanced super soldiers, they tell that they know that they've just been taken away from their families, and the people in charge tell them you're never going to see your families again, and they have like barely any trouble with it, and they just accept that they're never going to see their families again. But then in the show, they have Master Chief kind of starting to remember presumably memories of his real family that were wiped, and they did that with all the Spartans so that they wouldn't remember their true families, so that they would be more devoted. So I mean, that's an interesting way to have that plot, but it's just adding drama, like I said, because in the books they they just were honest about that, and it's part of their just unquestioning devotion to authority, those aspects of their characters.
right. And I remember there were some that washed out of the program, but it never tells us what
Hmm.
happens to them after they wash out.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know if there's like some grim fate awaiting anyone that doesn't go through the Spartan program. But knowing how they are, I wouldn't doubt, and how secretive they are about that project, I wouldn't
Yeah.
doubt that that person that washed out wouldn't be killed. Because I think some of the cadets also did die during training, so not all of them made it. Um, but yeah, they did add that of him having no memory of his past as a child before he was abducted.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, that seems to be something that was added for the show. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that seems to have been added for the show. I know one of the other things is like that human covenant girl.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I don't get why they added this human working with the covenant, so, and she's doing it sort of covertly and betraying the humans, and then it seems like at the end of episode 2 she's going to, against the will of the covenant elders, going to go and infiltrate the humans to do some sort of thing for the covenant mission.
Well, I know once you watch episode 3, they kind of explain her backstory.
Okay.
And the backstory to me kind of does create a motivation for this character to side with the Covenant.
Okay.
But that was the next episode. But yeah, that's definitely a character they added. My guess is that this character will not survive the series. Because if they're going to try to maintain anything close to like the canon, this character can't survive, past
Yeah.
the Fall of
That
Rage.
the only thing similar to that in the games that I can remember are, I don't remember whether it's in Halo 2 or 3. You're not just playing as the Master Chief, you're also playing as the Arbiter sometimes, who is a covenant. And
Mhm.
there's, if I remember correctly, there's something with that storyline of it's not just that you're playing as the good guys and the bad guys, alternating between playing as Master Chief and the Arbiter. But I think they end up working together, and the Arbiter ends up betraying the Covenant. Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah, because the Arbiter himself is that position is, hey, you failed your last mission, so you're going to be put in this exalted place that basically means that we're going to send you on suicide missions. So the missions that we send you on you aren't supposed to survive those. So it's almost like a punishment.
Okay.
But yeah, they find the Arbiter, basically he finds out that um, there's well, one of the things that happens at the end of Halo 2 is that the elites lose their position and they become um, they become thrown out of their position and substituted by the brutes, and the brutes don't like the elites at all.
Right, I
So
forgot there's that strict class division among the Covenant.
yeah, so that's one of the reasons the Arbiter defected. Another reason is the Arbiter went on a mission to take out some heretics, and the heretics were trying to show him like what the um, Covenant leadership was really trying to do, and they were trying to use like the Halo rings to basically destroy the galaxy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's why the Arbiter betrayed the Covenant, because he didn't want the Covenant to destroy the galaxy.
right, and then I think there was also the influence from the Grave Mind as well. So
Who's that
there's a
again?
lot of the Grave Mind is the sentient entity that controls the flood.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a funny coincidence. I was just thinking about the flood for some reason, even though I didn't remember that at all.
Yeah, because I'm not really expecting to see the flood in this show. Because the
Yeah.
flood, like they don't find the flood until Halo 1, until they find a ring.
Depends on how long the show lasts. If they have the show eventually go as far as the games do, into at least into the first Halo game, you could see the flood. That would be cool to see the flood if that happens.
Yeah,
Because
we'll see how far the show goes.
they're kind of like a zombie parasite alien species that even they even zombify the Covenant too. So they're like it's the enemy of your enemy, but they're that that maxim, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, is sure as fuck not true because they're just as bad or even worse than the Covenant.
Yeah, well, I think the like the Halo rings were created to destroy the Flood
Oh, right, I forgot that. Yeah,
because the Flood is basically like this organic zombification that just kind of spreads and spreads and spreads, and
right.
it's like extremely difficult to deal with.
Yeah,
And the rings were created to destroy the Flood, but the Covenant, they don't really care about the Flood. They just want to jack everybody up,
right,
mess up, clean the whole galaxy.
right.
Um, but yeah, so like I know the first half of the first episode concerns these colonists, and then they try to describe how somewhat um, hopeless their cause is. I know one of the old veterans was talking about, yeah, when a Spartan shows up, they're basically like invincible and unkillable, like death machines. I think shortly after that, we have the leader of this. I guess the planet is called Madrigal, and this the leader of the resistance there. I think his daughter is out like exploring with her friends, and I think they're gonna do like hallucinogens.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Like they're gonna take some type of alien mushrooms or something, and while they're about to get high, like they get like disintegrated by some covenant.
I wonder. That makes me think. I was wondering if there even is a reason for this. I was wondering why the Covenant planet or space station or whatever it is that those Covenant that we see are living on. It looks just like a giant mushroom.
Oh, that's High Charity. That's like the covenant
Oh, right,
home
Covenant
home.
High.
I don't know if it's yeah, it's like a mothership thing,
Okay.
where all the covenant are, where the prophets live. Those guys with like the ostrich neck.
Yeah, the ones who are on and they're on floating chairs and have their their chairs go up behind them in a way that makes it look like they have crowns.
Yeah, so they are definitely characters from the games. The prophets that they show there. I'm wondering if we're gonna see an arbiter eventually, and if it goes in the season, like into Halo 2, we're gonna get to see an arbiter.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
wonder
cool.
because the arbiter speaks English. So I wonder if he's gonna be voiced by Keith David again.
Oh, it was in the game?
Yeah, the arbiter was voiced by Keith David.
Oh, okay. Man, I'm looking forward to seeing Spartan Chief the Master Chief and the Spartans fight the Hunters cuz obviously those are the toughest Covenant to kill always in the game.
Yeah, and the books talk about like their first encounter with the hunter, and they
Right.
had to beat it like in a very unconventional way. And I think they had a really hard time fighting. I know one of his guys got their arm shot off, um, but the way they had to beat them is they had to collapse the floor and then push like these huge stone artifacts on top of them to crush them.
Yeah, they didn't figure out yet that you have to shoot the orange spot on their backs.
Yeah, but yeah, they were wrecking it. But I have to say, concerning those hunters, yeah, when they show up in the show, they'll be pretty cool. Interesting thing about the hunters, though, is that they are not a single entity. Um, they're a colony of worms inside of
Oh,
that
really?
armor. Yeah, it's not like a
Oh, I
one
didn't know that.
creature.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
okay.
worm colony, so it's kind of like a similar Earth type creature is that would kind of resemble that. Because there's some ocean creatures that are colonies of like creatures. Are you familiar with the ocean creature called a man o' war?
No, I've heard that before, but I'm not
Yeah, it
sure.
looks
I'm
like
gonna
this
look
weird jellyfish looking thing,
Manowar jellyfish.
but it's like it's not a single creature.
It's a collection of smaller ones. Oh wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so many sea creatures look like fucking aliens. The the ocean is filled with creatures that are basically the equivalent of aliens. So I'm looking at this and it's like glowing blue and translucent. It has some sort of like flat thing that comes up from its back.
Oh my.
Yeah, that thing floats on the top of the water.
Okay.
But this creature is not a single creature. It's called a colonial organism.
Okay.
The scientific name, I think, is called a siphonophore.
Okay.
And I think these types of organisms only live in the ocean. There's no like land-based ones or things like that. I think they're all ocean um, uh, born organisms.
Okay.
Well, I'm like looking up some of them on Wikipedia, and they're all like weird looking ocean creatures.
Right. Okay.
But most of them look like weird jellyfishes, but they're colonies of organisms that live together.
Okay.
Pretty
Yeah, that's
right.
interesting.
Yes. So that's kind of what a hunter is, except um, it doesn't live in the ocean.
Yeah, and it
In
doesn't
the
look
bottom.
anything like a jellyfish. It looks like a kind of like a giant humanoid armored alien with a weird face like a lot of the Covenant have, and then it has that giant orange, I think it's like rectangular or triangular spot on its back. That's its only weakness, because otherwise it's so strongly armored that it's almost impossible to kill other than doing it that way.
Yeah, because I know it's trunk too, like the middle part. You can shoot that part too.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But yeah, it's a creature made up of a bunch of worms. It's like a colony creature.
Hmm.
So yeah, so during so what happens is this colony just gets murderized by a few elites. Not that many. I think it's like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And the girl runs back. She's like the sole survivor of the initial attack. She runs back, warns everybody. Oh no, I got a call. Hold on a second.
Okay. Yeah. That encounter with the elites and those and the people in that colony, and when the Spartans come in to save them, show you how much of their advantage is to their skills as super soldiers, and how especially comparatively incredibly easily they kill the elites, whereas they just slaughter all the humans that are there. And yeah, it's just like we were talking about before. That's definitely my favorite part of the first episode, when we actually see the Spartans and they come in and they're fighting the elites. And those parts, they do a really good job of having them be really similar to the games. And it's really cool to see them fighting the elites, especially those elites with the swords, because that's really cool when you have to fight the elites with the swords, because they're always way harder to beat than elites because they're a one-hit kill with their swords. They have a one-hit kill on you or anyone else, and that's why it's cool in the Halo 2 game in comparison to the first one, when you can actually pick up and use an elite sword, and you can lock onto an enemy and it just pulls you towards them, and then you kill them with a one-hit kill. So yeah, that was a cool part of the second game and cool to see in the show.
Yeah, so there are a lot of cool Covenant weapons represented. We see the plasma. I think it's called because there's like two plasma pistols. There's the one that you charge up, and then there's the one that's kind of like a machine gun.
Isn't the one oh yeah, the one that you charge up is the one that's like a pistol, right? And it
Yeah,
charges one, and it has one bigger blast that comes up from it, and I can't believe I remember all these details about the game, but it can take out an enemy's shield, and then you can shoot them with a different weapon and kill them more easily that way. And then the elite rifle that they have is just like a steadily firing one.
right. And I know they did a Halo 3 thing in this first episode, as I don't think you could rip turrets out until Halo 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot that you could even do that. I remember that they had that in the show, but I forgot that you could do that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool, especially that because that gun from the back of the Warhog is just like an awesome badass minigun.
Yeah, so he uses that technique. We got the sniper, Spartan that kind of stays up on the walls. Like there's a team of four. So a team of four just drop in there and start wrecking things. But like it's not, they don't really come to the rescue, right? Because everybody gets slaughtered. So that
Yeah,
entire little station or colony or like whatever you want to call it, like all of the rebels are slaughtered. The only
yeah.
survivor is the daughter of the resistance leader.
Yeah, they don't save anyone. They just kill all of them. And you see when they almost leave that girl there after they've killed the Covenant, that's what they're just killing machines. That's what they are. They don't even have any interest in really saving people. They did try to save some of them though, because they were killing the Covenant anyway, but that obviously wasn't their priority. They didn't just recklessly kill the humans in the process of killing the Covenant, but they didn't really try to save them other than when they were shooting at particular Covenant anyway.
Right. So after everything's said and done, um, the Spartans really don't really want anything to do with that girl. They're after the ship that landed now, so they're going towards that ship, and then they find a cave and the artifact inside. And the artifact, well, at least Master Chief touches the artifact, and it starts taking over him, and then he starts having some flashbacks.
Yeah, and it seems like those are flashbacks to his childhood from what seems like are his suppressed memory before he went to reach to train and become biologically enhanced to become a Spartan.
Yeah, it's like in this part of the show, it's really vague on what it's showing you, but we get the sense that it has something to do with his life before he became a Spartan.
Mm-hmm.
So after he touches this thing, he kind of grows a conscience, and he takes the girl with him, because I think that the team is splitting up. Like he's going to take the artifact, and he takes the girl also, and the rest of the team, they take another ship or something like that.
Right.
In return, I think they take the Covenant ship or something like that.
Even though that's against protocol, as they said. So right when he starts touching that artifact is when he's questioning his authority.
Yeah, so it's almost like it kind of broke him out of a trance of some sort.
Yeah.
But the rest of the episode is when we start seeing a lot of politicking going on.
Hmm.
So we have the politicking within the USMC and how
UNSC.
UNSC. I always get it wrong. And kind of how Halsey's division butts heads against like the leadership because and the leadership doesn't like her unethical experiments. Right now, like Master Chief's in a transport bringing the girl home, and the leadership wants to speak to the girl to try to cut her a deal. Say, hey, do this, and speak about what you saw on the planet, about the aliens and how they murdered everybody. And she's like, hell no. She kind of refuses their offer. And at that point, Master Chief's given some type of secret order to assassinate her.
Right.
And this is where we see that I think Chief touches like the artifact again. And then when he receives the order, he refuses it. So at this point, he's going against his orders.
Right.
And Halsey like finds out that he's kind of gone rogue. And she's not super interested in hurting him because it seems like the UNSC wants to take him out. It's like, wow, they just want to kill him. They don't even want to capture him. He's like, oh, he's too dangerous. We got to take him out.
You disobeyed orders. He's too powerful, so we need to take him out immediately. Not
Yeah, so
balancing
his
that
team,
against what they could do, like what he could still do against the Covenant if they can get him back in order, basically.
yeah, so interesting enough, they send a shitload of soldiers to deal with them in the hangar. Halsey gives the Spartans like some secret instructions. Hey, don't kill him, try to capture him. And
Mhm.
anyone who tries to kill him, you know what you need to do. So you have like this interesting conflict within the military. So
Mhm.
eventually, what happens is, as he's about to get captured, he uses the artifact and it like shuts down the power on the whole base, and then he's able to escape with the rebel. And
Yeah,
that's how the
because it
first episode
also
ends, right?
and also what happens in that part is that the UNSC has powered down his ship, but when he touches that artifact, it shuts down the power to the rest of the station, but also powers up their ship, which is what allows them to escape. And
Yeah.
that is the overall. I thought that that first episode was really good. What did you think about it overall?
It was very surprising. I think one of the most surprising parts, of course, was the unveiling of the face. I kind of had to
Yeah,
expect that this was going to happen because when you play the game, you're always in combat situations, so you're always going to have the armor and helmet on. It's not going to make a whole lot of sense
yeah,
that, oh, I'm going to walk around in the locker room without my armor on.
yeah.
That's not how the games are. You're always in heavy combat situations.
I think
Um,
that guy who plays Master Chief, I think he does a good job of mimicking Master Chief's voice too.
yeah, he does a good job with like the stoicness, even though in this particular iteration of Halo, it looks like he's going to be a little bit more emotive.
Yeah,
Uh, but that'll be interesting to see. So
yeah,
I'm okay. I know he's supposed to be super tall. I'm glad that they picked a tall actor to play him,
yeah. Me too.
which was good. And yeah, I thought he did a really good job. Like I wasn't disappointed with Master Chief. And I watched
Yeah,
some of like the what do you call it? Like how all these new shows have like an official after show. and I watched the first one, and it was basically he was the guest on that show. They just like
Oh
talk
no,
about,
I didn't know about that.
yeah, it might be exclusive to like Paramount Plus or something.
Okay.
But these phone calls, man.
Oh,
No, I don't have to take it. But
okay.
um, yeah, I thought he did a really good job. I was happy about his performance. I thought the inclusion of more Spartans was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Instead of having the lone Spartan, we got, and this kind of reflects like the book because the
yeah,
book he rolls around more with a squad. He's not doing a whole
yeah.
bunch of lone gunman type of stuff
Yeah,
in the
that's
book.
one part that's really cool about the books.
Yeah, because in the games you're like outside of, because I think maybe Halo 5 and Halo 6. I don't know if there's Spartans in it, but like the first 4 or 5 games, you're the only Spartan except in
Hmm.
Halo Reach. But in Halo Reach, you don't play as Master Chief.
Okay.
You're playing as a different squad of Spartans.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I
But
haven't
yeah,
played
most
that
of the
one.
time you're like the lone Spartan. But I like that he has his own squad. And I know, based off of the book, we do see that, okay, why is, at least the book tells us why he is the leader and how he has gotten that rank. So that gives us a little bit of background about him being the leader of his squad. So I don't know if they're going to get into that in the show, or let the other media that has already told that story tell that story.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it seems to me like they easily could go into the backstory of the Fall of Reach book and how they all became Spartans because we saw those flashbacks and it seems like Master Chief is recovering more of his memories. So I could see how they could get into a lot of that stuff that happens during that timeline in more flashbacks.
Yeah, that all depends on how much they want to retread the Forward Unto Dawn movie, because the Forward Unto Dawn, a lot of it takes place when the chief was a kid.
Okay.
Well, actually, it wasn't when the chief was a kid, but it's, they can probably do the chief as a kid, no problem. Because Forward Unto Dawn, it basically is a movie about another like squad of Spartan cadets. But at the end of the movie, they're saved by Master Chief.
Oh, cool.
It's worth checking out. I remember when I saw it, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, maybe I should see if I can find it. Maybe it's on that site.
But yeah, so far we haven't seen a warthog yet.
That wasn't what that one Spartan pulled that minigun off of? What did it pull the minigun off of?
The rebels had like their own defenses.
Oh, right. Yeah, there wouldn't be a UNSC vehicle at a rebel base. Yeah, that wouldn't make sense.
I'm guessing we'll probably see something of that nature.
I think didn't we see in episode, I don't remember whether it was episode 1 or 2, but Halsey comes to, I think it's episode 2, because I think it's when Master Chief comes back from after he's escaped with that girl. Halsey comes up to him and a soldier is driving it, but it looked like she was in a warthog.
Oh, was she? She might have been.
Yeah.
I guess when I think of warthog, I'm thinking of someone standing in the back shooting at stuff.
Right. It looked like a warthog to me because I thought, oh, this looks big, but that makes sense because humans are so much smaller than Spartans. So
Right.
it would look bigger from a human perspective.
Yeah, it might have been. I guess I wasn't paying attention closely there. But yeah, that first episode was pretty good. I know the second episode you probably thought was a bit slow. I thought it was a bit slow. There
Yeah,
was
I
no.
did. I wasn't really a big fan of it because, of course, there wasn't any of the Spartans fighting Covenant, and it was all just political scheming and stuff and getting into the character of the Master Chief and his relationship with this girl. I kind of like the political scheming and stuff of Halsey. That kind of stuff was interesting, but the rest of it I could take it or leave it, I guess. I mean, they added that whole backstory with Master Chief's friend, who was one of those who washed out of the Spartans and then escaped, and he allowed him to escape, and he goes to where he is for refuge. That was kind of interesting, but yeah, like I said, the political scheming with Halsey and the UNSC and trying to get the approval to put Cortana into the Master Chief. That part was interesting, but again, there really wasn't action. There was just that stuff, and then plus that stuff with the human who's working with the Covenant. They went into that a little bit more too.
Yeah, and he left, I guess, in his Mjolnir armor, and we got to see like the young versions of John and his friend. I think his friend's name is Soren or Soren.
I think it's Soren, but yeah, I don't remember for sure.
But yeah, he made a life for himself out in this like asteroid belt. He has like a wife and kid. You know, he's
Mhm.
free from the crazy life. Let's just talk about the Spartans. Man, is that name reflect what they actually are?
Yeah, I know, right? Just badass warriors who they never give up in their way. They're like I said, they're way more fierce warriors than anyone else, and they're just the epitome of badasses.
Yeah, and they're trained from childhood, from the age of 6. And it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. They're bred. Well, they're not bred, but they're like scientifically designed for war.
yeah, so it's interesting the parallels between the historical Spartans and these fictional space marine versions of them. But yeah, his boy, he escapes, and while he's on this asteroid belt, he is introduced to this crazy person who's had experience with the Covenant, and they go to inquire about this artifact. And Podon Fane basically tells them that he has some type of hidden power within him, and that has something to do with the artifact.
That's interesting because they make it seem like the Master Chief is some sort of character involved with a prophecy, and that's why he has that response to the artifact. Because, like you were saying, there's something special about him, and that kind of makes sense because you could relate that to being some prophecy about the Halo rings and where Master Chief is supposed to be the one to destroy them to stop the Covenant from destroying the universe.
I don't know if there is a prophecy. I do know that the Covenant, you give him the moniker the Demon.
Right.
Because I remember when you play the game, like the little enemies will say, "Oh, the demon's here, the demon!" Like the
Right.
guards.
The demon! Run the demon!
So Master Chief is specifically referred to as the demon by a lot of the Covenant forces. Because I
Right.
don't think in the first game they had like English voices. I think they just kind of said weird alien stuff, and then in the second
Oh
game
yeah.
when they started speaking English.
Yeah, they kind of just like grunted and made weird alien noises at first. Yeah.
Yeah, in the first game at least. And I
Yeah.
guess they got translators in the next game.
Yeah, that's
Translation
a good point.
software. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, that's
But
a good point.
yeah, so the second episode is basically a character building episode. Um, what do you think? Some people were upset that they changed the race of Commander Keys.
Oh, I didn't even remember that they were white in the game. So they changed them to black.
Yeah, people were mad about that. They said that the show is woke.
I don't really see, but like we talked about this before with when you and Tristram and I were talking about the Lord of the Rings and the Wheel of Time adaptations last week or whenever it was. It's stupid if it's woke and you're just changing the race of the character just to have a token black person and use black people as pawns. But it, and but it only matters if the character's race is actually important. Like we were talking about how we were talking about the Dark Tower series, and Roland the gunslinger's character being white actually is important because there's that dynamic in the second book where he basically kind of kidnaps / partners up with that black schizophrenic disabled woman who's working with him and Eddie, and a part of their dynamic is that she's black and she's always accusing him of being a racist white honky motherfucker. And
Okay, motherfucker. That's wants to rape him.
So that's why, like, changing the race to Idris Elba in the Dark Tower movie doesn't make as much sense. But with Captain Keyes, I don't think their race is really that important at all for their character. So in that case, I don't think it's a woke thing. I think they maybe just like we were talking about, maybe just cast them because they were actually good actors. But I don't know.
Yeah. So so the next episode, I know you haven't seen, but once you watch it, I think you'll enjoy it. Again, it's not like it's going to be kind of like episode 2.
Oh, okay.
But there's an introduction of an important character in the third episode, and it's pretty interesting. I'll say that.
Okay. Cool.
So I know we also read the book recently as well, the Eric Nyland book. And what type of impressions did you get about the Master Chief character based off of just reading that book?
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it seems similar to the book, similarly stoic and all that kind of stuff. And I like how how his character progressed through the book as being seen as a natural leader, and so that's why he ends up being the leader of the Spartans. And with their biological enhancements as super soldiers, he has and like we have his perspective of experience slowed down time when he has enhanced perception of time and enhanced vision and enhanced speed and strength, and we see that their adaptations work even better than expected. And I think it's interesting that the Master Chief, he has all those enhancements and improvements, but he's not the most skilled at any of those particular attributes. For example, there's that one who's the sniper who has she has the best eyesight, better than any of the other Spartans, and there's one who's faster than the rest, and there's one who's stronger than the rest. I like how they made those differences. And Master Chief he's skilled in he has all of those skills, but he doesn't have the most extreme skills out of anyone in all of them. He's not the fastest or the strongest or has the best vision out of all of the Spartans.
Yeah, he's fairly well-rounded. I think one of the things that we can say is he's the one that's basically wants to make sure that the mission succeeds. So he puts the mission above all else. And in order to do that, he needs to utilize the tools that he has around him. And those are his squad mates. And his squad mates can be particularly better about certain things than he can. Because I know during one of his missions, they did get on a Covenant ship. And I think they had to blow it up and they had to leave one of their guys behind to do that. So, yeah, he knows that sacrifices will have to be made at times in order to complete the mission. And I think the guy that was sacrificed was like, yeah, I got shot. And this was before they got their armor upgrades. So he got shot. The seats aren't vacuum sealed. If he tried to leave the ship, he would have died anyway. So he stays there, defending the bomb, and then he's gonna set it off,
Okay.
once they leave. And then we get to see like some of the inner workings of the military and the intelligence, like the Oni division, and how they bump heads with Halsey and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's interesting.
yeah, I like to see the backstory of this world and how it's built. I didn't know, because I had never read these books. I didn't know that there was kind of this bigger lore surrounding these games at all. So I was pleasantly surprised to kind of dive into this stuff and see what was there that I had not known before,
Yeah, for sure.
that you had already known because you read the book already a while ago.
Yeah. I didn't remember that much of it though, because it was a long time ago when I read it, several years ago at least. Like I said, I think it was when I was a teenager that I read it.
But you probably still like unconsciously knew some of the stuff, I guess, kind of.
Yeah, I
At
remember
least
some of
about
it.
Master Chief's upbringing and stuff.
Yeah, I remembered like some of the most important and major aspects of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like that one excursion that they had to do when each of the cadets were given like a piece of the map and they had to extract, but the problem was the people at the extraction zone, they didn't recognize them.
Right.
So they lured them out and beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, that was
And
cool. And that was cool how they had to learn how to work together as a team, and if one member of their team a little earlier on when they're doing those challenges is one of you wins, that doesn't count unless your whole team wins.
right. And in this case, it was going to be the last person that had to walk home. And then Master Chief said, no, everyone's going home. And if anyone's going to walk home, it's going to be me. He kind of volunteered to be the sacrificial lamb for that mission. Uh-oh, did you get frozen? Did you let it go? Let it go, let it go.
No, I was just taking a big bong hit.
No, you just let it go right now. But yeah, well, the book was surprising. The only game that's around this era would, I guess, be the Fall of Reach, but they haven't even gotten to that yet. So from what I can tell, if they're trying
What
to,
happens in the Fall of Reach game in comparison to the book? Because I haven't played the game.
the Fall of Reach game basically takes place like within the last couple chapters of the book. Because in
Okay.
the Fall of Reach, there's kind of two things happening. There's like this huge space battle above Reach, and then you have like an invasion going on also on the planet's surface. So in Reach, the game, you're just part of a squad that initially you're looking for rebels, and then while you're talking to people on the planet, they're saying, "Oh no, there's like some weird aliens," and you do an investigation, and that's when they attack. So, and then it's all, it's all combat from then on out, basically.
Okay.
But it's basically taking place during that invasion, so just that small portion of at the end of the book is the timeline for the game, The Fall of Reach.
Okay.
But as far as the timeline goes, it seems like this book has to take place sometime before the Fall of Reach. because the Reach is pictured here in this show. So we'll have to see if that's going to get depicted by the end of the show or not.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see. I mean, it seems almost certain that that would happen. I mean, it depends on how long the show is going to last, like we were talking about, right? It depends on whether they're going to do a short show that ends before the original games take place, or whether they're gonna progress all throughout all of the games. I think it would be really cool if they did the latter, but not all shows get approved for so many seasons, and they might not have the budget and all that kind of stuff. We talked about before how even The Wheel of Time, which is a series based on 15 books, is only going to have 8 seasons of 8 episodes each. So that's hard to condense in there. And even though, I mean, the only thing that would be I guess one thing that would be way easier about that with Halo is that it's a really basic storyline, because it's just a typical video game military sci-fi storyline. So they can build out the universe as they're doing, and they don't necessarily have to go into a whole lot of details of different cultures and dynamics between different characters and stuff like that happens in the Wheel of Time books.
Right. But I'm also guessing they're probably pulling from the Halo books too, which there are a ton of.
Yeah.
I was like, how many freaking Halo books are there? And
Yeah, like I was saying before when we talked about it, I had no idea there were so many, because I read 3 when I was a teenager. I think all of the ones, I don't remember for sure, but I think they're all by Eric Nyland. There's The Fall of Reach, First Strike, and Ghosts of Onyx. I really don't remember what happens in the other 2 at all, but those are the ones that I've read before. So how many books are there now?
According to Goodreads, there's like 30.
Oh wow, holy shit. And they by a bunch of different authors?
Yeah, a ton of different authors
Okay.
write these Halo books, and some Halo books cover certain things. Like there's one
It
that
kind of
specifically
it
goes
kind of
way,
sounds
way in the past.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That sounds kind of similar to Star Wars. Like, how I've told you before about how many Star Wars books there are? I think there are somewhere around 100 or more, and there are so many written by different authors too. There are entire series written by countless different authors, and they go throughout a massive timeline. They start before the formation of the Old Republic in Star Wars. I think something like 60,000 years before A New Hope. And then they progress to, I think, thousands of years into the future after, oh, wait, I guess you should say thousands of years into the future, even after the end of the new trilogy, which ends with Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, but I mean, it sounds similar in that the Halo books have been written by a lot of different authors, and they cover a lot of different events in a lot of different time periods. That's really cool. That makes me want to read more of them so I can learn more about this world that's been built in the books.
Yeah, I've been trying to acquire a lot of them from my library, and I'll post them when I get them.
Sweet.
But I'm trying to get the original 6, 1 through 6.
Sweet. Oh yeah,
I
I
would definitely
reread the other 2 that I have, and then read the other 3 in the original 6.
Okay. One of the things I really liked about the books is like he's deft, like military maneuvering.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he's fighting the Covenant ships, he has like these. He invents a maneuver called the Keys maneuver.
Oh yeah, how does that work again?
He was so in order to avoid fire from the Covenant ships, he would fly towards the ships, and right before he was hit, he would use an emergency maneuver booster, which is basically just an explosion. So it would detonate an explosion on the side of the ship that he wanted to move the opposite from. So he would
Right.
use these types of boosters to avoid enemy fire. Um,
And
and
what did he
almost
do?
he
What did
got
he
into point
do?
blank range
Sorry, go
before
ahead.
he shot at the enemy
Right,
ship.
right, right. Yeah, he would go right up in front of them and then shoot. What was the? That was the thing. Well, I don't remember the details. Could you get more into what he did to like at first they fired on the Covenant ships and then they realized that they had shields and then he did some sort of elaborate thing like that and some along with some other details to be able to take the shield out and then fire on the ships and I think they did that and they destroyed half of their ships or something like that, right?
Well, on the second time they did like the Mac guns are kind of what they have to use to destroy the ships.
Right.
In the case with him, I think he used the Mac gun to take the shields down, and then he fired a bunch of missiles at it.
Okay. Yeah, the Mac guns are those ones that fire like basically giant shells that can go straight through the ships or take down their shields, like you said.
Yeah, I think I was trying to calculate how much a Mac round weighs. I think in the book they said it was like 6,000 tons. I was like, 6,000 tons? That's got to be
Holy
ridiculously
shit.
big.
Holy fuck, man. Wow, yeah, that's fucking giant. Well, you gotta think about it like it's a giant war spaceship gun for trying to destroy other spaceships. It makes sense that it would be fucking mammoth sized.
Well, if you look at a lot of the US, was it UNSC?
Hmm.
You look at a lot of their vessels, they just look like giant guns.
Oh yeah, I never thought about that before.
They
You know that like
look,
there's something like some of the ships almost look similar to some of the battleships in Starship Troopers a little bit. I thought of a few times. It's kind of funny. This is like more of a serious version of Starship Troopers, but it's actually not cheesy. It's cool.
yeah, the ODST guys look like Starship Troopers.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's a more serious version, I guess, if you want to say that. But
Way cooler.
this kind of see how it's gonna play out. I haven't really checked out so critical reviews about it yet. I think one of the ones I like to check out is Angry Joe. I haven't checked his review out yet for the Halo series. I think Daniel Green watched it, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he has some words about it, but I haven't checked that out either.
Oh, okay. I should check that out too if he has that.
But yeah, so at this point, from what you've seen so far, would you recommend watching the show?
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I think it's maybe that kind of show where you might actually appreciate it more if you have not played the games because there are a few, not that many, but a few kind of major things that are not canon, as you could say. But I mean, for me personally, I like the show so far, even though I'm a huge fan of the video games, and I guess I would say similar. I have similar thoughts to the adaptation of the Wheel of Time. It's not amazing. It could be better, but it also could be way worse. And overall, it's pretty good so far, I would say.
Yeah, I thought the first episode was like a great opening for the series. Um, and that's kind of the thing that got me hooked so far. Like if they started off with something slow with like the first episode, It's like, I'd be like extremely questioning the longevity of the show if that was what we were gonna get,
Right.
episode in and episode out. But
Yeah, that was a smart decision to actually make sure you have Spartans killing Covenant in the first episode.
yeah, I think they're like, yeah, we have to do this, like, because our next few episodes are just kind of drama building and character development.
Right.
Even though in the episode 3 there's some stuff that happens. You'll see once
Okay.
you get to it.
You like episode 3 more than 2?
Yeah, episode 3 is better. Yeah, episode 3 is way better than 2.
Sweet. Oh yeah. Okay,
But
good.
it's
I'm
not
looking
better than
forward to it.
episode 1.
Okay. Well, yeah, I really wasn't much of a big fan of episode 2, like I said, but I thought episode 1 was really good overall.
Yeah. So yeah, I suggest people watch the show. I'm glad they're like doing this thing where they're not doing the Netflix thing, right? Where they're trying to drop the whole show at once for you to binge watch it. Like
Yeah, I
I'd
like
be
that. I
you like to binge watch?
I deliberately do not watch binge shows anyway. Or binge watch shows, I should say.
Yeah, I like watching like a couple episodes or an episode a week. It gives you enough time to digest what you saw.
Yeah.
I think it gives you time to talk to people about it.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to
And-
like if you binge watch a show in a weekend, it's kind of hard to like half of that show is going to be forgettable.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're just jamming it all into your brain all at once. That's one of the reasons why, for me, I prefer watching basically one episode a day of 2 different shows that I'm watching at the same time, basically.
Right. Yeah, like I try to not go to the next episode. I'll go to another show instead.
Yeah. And if you think about it, either way, you're going to eventually catch up on whatever shows you want to watch, because even if you don't binge, if you watch one episode a day of a season that has 10 episodes, say, it'll take you 10 days to go through the series, and there's no way that season 2 of a show comes out 10 days after the first season does. So there's always time to catch up on shows, which is why it's a good problem to have, that there's so many awesome shows that I still haven't seen yet and still have to catch up on.
Yeah, there's so many of the Disney Marvel shows I need to catch up on.
I haven't seen any of those yet. I've been prioritizing other shows.
Yeah, I've finally finished WandaVision not too long ago.
What do you think of that one?
It starts off really weird. I'm like, what the hell am I watching? It doesn't like click until 3 or 4 episodes in about what you're watching.
Okay. I heard something similar to that from other people who have talked about it, that it's weird and confusing at first, and then it all kind of suddenly makes sense.
Yeah, like when I first put it on, because I didn't look into any spoilers or anybody talking about the show. So when I watched it, it was like extremely fresh. So when I watched that first episode, I was like, what the fuck did I get myself into here? Like, what is this crap? I was like, all right, well, I'll continue. And people said this is supposed to be good, so I guess I'll just continue and see what happens. But
okay.
And then I found out like some of the characters from the Netflix Marvel shows have been migrated into like the Disney canon. So I found out that Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin shows up in Hawkeye.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because all the Netflix Marvel shows like Daredevil and Punisher and Luke Cage and all of those other ones, those are all on Disney Plus now. So they made them Marvel canon, you said? That would be pretty cool, because especially the Daredevil and Punisher series, in my opinion, are those ones are my favorite ones.
Yeah, so he shows up in Hawkeye, from what I read, and I know Charlie Cox shows up as Daredevil in one of the other new shows.
Sweet.
So they're like fully integrating those Netflix shows into the MCU now, which
That's
I
pretty
think
cool,
is really
man.
good.
I like how they're building out the world so much more like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, so the next one I need to watch because I need to go back. I kind of skipped ahead. I have to go to the show with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah,
And
I want to watch that one. That one
yeah,
sounds really exciting.
so I have to do that one because I was like, you know what, I did this out of order a little bit. So I have to go back and do
Oh
that.
yeah, I should watch them in order too. So what is the proper order to watch them in?
Falcon and Winter Soldier show, WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye.
Okay. Oh, Falcon and Winter Soldier before WandaVision.
Yeah, I watched
Oh.
WandaVision first.
Oh, see, that's where I would have gotten confused too, because I would have watched WandaVision first if I didn't know that, because WandaVision came out before Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But was
Did it? I thought it
Falcon?
came out afterwards.
I thought Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out after WandaVision.
Really? Let me make sure. Hopefully, I
I'm
did this in
gonna
order.
I'm gonna check too.
Let's see. Marvel, Disney show in order. Oh, they're including the Netflix shows too. Huh.
When I looked at, I guess I asked the wrong question. I asked, did WandaVision come out before Falcon and Winter Soldier? But it's just telling me when they. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought I had heard this before. The the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was originally going to come out before WandaVision, but it was delayed due to COVID, which is why WandaVision came out before Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So that's why Falcon and the Winter Soldier takes place before WandaVision, but WandaVision was released before Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, so Falcon and the Winter Soldier should be watched first.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad that I know that before I watch those shows.
Okay, so it looks like a bunch of people who had not watched the Marvel shows before, like the ones that were on Netflix, now that they've moved over to um, Disney Plus, it would be confusing for people because those people didn't watch those shows originally, and the seasons of each show are different. So Daredevil 1 came out first, and then next was Jessica Jones 1, and then Daredevil 2, and then Luke Cage 1. So all of those seasons, if you want to
Oh,
watch them
wow.
in chronological order, you have to go back and forth between those shows.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. That would be that would be a really detailed project to get into if you actually want to get as specific as possible about watching everything in the MCU in chronological order.
Yeah, and all of those Netflix Marvel shows, if you were to combine them all, that's 13 seasons.
Oh wow. Holy shit.
Because I forgot about the
Already?
Defenders.
Oh
No, I'm
yeah.
just talking about the
I didn't
Marvel shows that were on Netflix.
Oh, okay. I didn't even I didn't really like the Defenders. I think I watched the first episode. I think it was 3 episodes. It was some mini series if I remember correctly, and I think I only watched the first episode and bailed cuz I thought it was lame, but that's also why I bailed on season 2 of Luke Cage cuz I thought that was lame too, even though I liked season 1.
I think I watched them all, like even the ones you bailed on.
I
I
just
think they were
I thought
okay at the end.
I thought Daredevil and Punisher are really good, Yeah, like I said, I thought Luke Cage was good at first, but then I bailed on it, and then I bailed on the Defenders. But I haven't watched Iron Fist or Jessica Jones yet.
You haven't watched Jessica Jones?
No,
Oh, Jessica Jones. You haven't seen the first season?
no.
Oh man, the first season's really good.
Yeah, I know you told me that before. It's just one of those shows that sounds good and has been so heavily recommended to me by so many
Yeah,
people. Like,
Jessica Jones
there's
season one is better than Luke Cage one or two.
oh, that's pretty cool. That's gonna
Yeah, it's
bump it up on my
Jessica
list
Jones
then.
season two though isn't that good?
No? Oh, okay.
No, I didn't like season two. That was kind of
That's
lame.
too bad. But it's cool that it's too bad that that happens with shows. Sometimes they start off good and then they get bad. It's cool that they maintained that with the 3 seasons of Daredevil that there were, and in my opinion, they did a good job of that with the first 2 seasons of Punisher too.
I thought most of the Daredevil was good. Like one and three were really good. Two was okay, but was still watchable.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would say 1 and 3 were my favorite too. I don't even remember that much of what happens in season 2 actually.
yeah, season two was about like his ex-girlfriend in the hand or
Oh,
whatever.
Elektra and the evil ninjas. Yeah.
Yeah, it was mostly about that.
Right, right. Yeah, season 1 was cooler because it kind of introduces the whole thing involved with Kingpin and Daredevil, and season 3 he basically has gotten the shit kicked out of him, and he's struggling to try to be Daredevil again, and he doesn't even wear his uniform, and there ends up being someone pretending to be Daredevil and killing people, and he fights Kingpin again, of course. Yeah, that was a lot of cool. And I like how they crossed over some of those Netflix Marvel shows too. For example, the Daredevil show, I think it's in season 1 where we first meet the Punisher before he gets his own show, I think, right?
Yeah, he comes out in Daredevil.
Right.
Then he gets his own show after that.
Yeah.
But I think he comes out in the second season of Daredevil.
Second? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it's the second. I don't know. Yeah, the
I,
combat in Daredevil is really cool. They really do really cool close quarters fighting.
yeah, I know they kind of mimicked. There was this one scene that definitely seemed like it mimicked Old Boy. Are you familiar with that movie?
Yeah, I've seen that. I haven't seen the original Korean one. I've seen the American one with Josh Brolin. I hated that fucking movie because the ending was like the most fucking disturbing shit possibly imaginable.
Oh, I've only seen the original.
Okay, I've heard the
But
original is way better.
yeah, it's good. I would definitely recommend it. Old Boy is really good.
Cool.
Um, but yeah, there's definitely a scene. I don't know how the new one is, but there's a scene in Old Boy that's just one shot, and he like fights like a bunch of people in the hallway, and Daredevil like does something very similar,
Oh,
where
is
it's
it
a
similar
single shot.
to have you seen those movies Ong Bak and The Protector with that guy Tony Jaa, who's one of those guys who actually does his own real stunts and martial arts. He does Muay Thai, and there's some there's some shots in those movies which are like I think in The Protector, and I think there are similar ones too in the other movie. There are times when they're I think just 5 minute single take fight sequences where he fights like 30 guys and he's going in and out of a bunch of rooms as what seems to happen in Daredevil too.
Yeah, I haven't seen Ong Bak. I've heard of it, but yeah, that sounds very similar to what happens.
It's really fucking cool. That's a really good movie.
I also forgot there's a new Marvel series now on Disney Plus called Moon Knight.
Oh yeah, I saw that one too. Yeah. I mean I haven't watched it yet, but I saw that it's on there. Everything's a fucking series now, man. At first I thought it was a movie, and then I saw, oh, it's another series. Well, there are like 10 Marvel series now, and there's still 30 other series that I want to watch also.
Oh, there's so many different freaking Marvel series. Like I'm not even counting like Agents of Shield and Agent Carter.
There's an Agent Carter? I didn't even know that one existed.
Yeah, Agent Carter. It's like when it's back in the old days when Captain America was like fighting Nazis.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's yeah, it's around that time period.
And is Samuel Jackson in it, or is it some younger guy?
Um, I don't even know. I think it just focuses on it. I haven't seen it, so I have to go back and watch this.
Okay.
So only thing I know is it just takes place back, and it's like it's more of like a spy show.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So man, there's so much freaking stuff to watch on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But you didn't like the Defenders, right?
No.
No. Oh, that was okay. That was okay.
It was just too cheesy to me. It could have been executed a lot better.
Yeah, it looks like you like the more grim dark shows. Because I
Yeah,
think the
definitely.
Netflix shows are more grim dark. Because the Netflix shows I think were rated R, if I'm not
Yeah, I think
mistaken.
so. I think Punisher and Daredevil were Punisher obviously even more so than Daredevil because Daredevil tries to avoid killing people, but Punisher does not. He is 100% okay with killing people if they are bad guys.
Yeah, so I think there was kind of a backlash when these shows were being added to the Disney Plus channel because parents were like, "Oh, you're adding this content that's not for kids." Blah 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 blah
There's already tons of content on there that's not for kids. That's why I watch stuff on Disney Plus.
blah. Maybe the Canadian Disney Plus is slightly different. I don't know. Because there's some
It
of the stuff that
seems
you
like it
mentioned that's like, I've never seen that there.
Yeah, it seems like that happens with every streaming channel, that there are differences between countries. Yeah, there's a lot of like all of the R-rated Marvel movies like Deadpool and Logan are on there, and because Disney owns Fox now, all of the Fox movies, so all of the Alien and Predator movies, for example, those
Are
aren't
on
fucking
Disney
for kids.
Plus?
Yeah.
Those aren't on our Disney Plus.
No? Oh, okay.
No. We don't have any Deadpool. We have no aliens and predators.
Really?
I think you're no.
Oh, okay.
I
That's
don't
weird.
know why, but we don't.
That's weird. Hmm. Yeah, like I can watch the Die Hard movies on there too because they're
What?
Fox. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not on our Disney Plus. Man, you guys got a better Disney Plus than we do. That's messed up.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Uh, oh well. Anyway, yeah, and that's how we rated it. Did you want to talk about some of the stuff you read recently?
Yeah, so right now I am reading another one of those Resident Evil books based on the games. This is Resident Evil City of the Dead, and this one is a novelization of Resident Evil 2. And I think uh, I think it's my favorite one so far that I've read in my rereading of the novelizations of the games that I have. It's a little bit less of a really one-dimensional plot with one-dimensional characters. There are more characters who have different motives, and it's not just the straight up, oh, zombies, we're going into this dark mansion with this secret underground lab, or we're going to penetrate this other secret underground lab where there are zombies and scary monsters, and hopefully everyone can make it out alive. It's a slightly different plot than that. And of course, in every book, there are a lot of similar, but always a few slightly different types of zombies and monsters. So that's really cool.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
And this is a novelization of Resident Evil 2?
Yeah, it's cool. I think there are 6, at least in this original series by the same author. And
Mhm.
the first one is 0 Hour, which I think there's a Resident Evil 0 game, right? And then
Mhm.
there's Resident Evil 1 and 2, and the second book actually is one that's not completely a novelization of a game. It takes place in between Resident Evil 1 and 2, and then this one, like I said, is a novelization of Resident Evil 2, and I think the rest of them are just novelizations of other games, but I don't know. There maybe are other books that take place in between the games too.
Where are you finding these books?
These are other ones that I got when I was a teenager because I didn't really know where to look to figure out what books to read. So I just read
Video
novelizations of
game
movies, TV
novelization.
shows, and video games. Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So I also, because we were talking about it recently, I started from the beginning of the George Smiley series by John le Carré. So
Ah,
I re-
he did.
I read the first one of those books called Call for the Dead. I saw that you had read it on Goodreads, and yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. It's really short, like novella length, and it's basically just a straightforward murder mystery. So I thought it was pretty cool. It's nothing like James Bond extravagant spy ship, which there are pros and cons to that, but it's interesting too because George Smiley is this short fat guy, really
Ugly,
weak, and
retired.
he has to get this other guy to be the tough guy to do the fighting for him, and he gets really beat up and just kind of by sheer luck ends up killing that guy that's trying to kill him at the end of the book. But yeah, it was pretty good overall. I like it. I'm gonna definitely read the rest of the books in the series.
Yeah, I didn't because I only read 2. And it seems like Mund is like this reoccurring bad guy, it seems like, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I read a few of the other books before, but I don't really remember that much about them. And
Yeah, because I
didn't
read
read
this
them in
one
order.
and the spy that comes in from the cold or something. I think that was
The,
called.
the Spy Who Came In from the Cold.
Yeah, and they both revolved around Mund. I know
Okay.
this book, the first one that he wrote, is kind of the introduction of Mund, and we get to see Smiley's backstory, his like how he got recruited to MI6,
Hmm.
and I thought it was pretty cool. I liked that first book, um, and I really liked the other one. But his books seem to be not very long; they're usually pretty short
Yeah.
from what I've read.
I'm glad that I looked up what order to read these books in too, because I was going to start with The Spy Who Came In from the Cold, and then I looked up and saw that that was the third one in publication order, and found out that that's the third one in the series, but that's the one that he got really famous over, which is interesting.
Yeah, so the other one, Murder of Quality, I think I uploaded that.
Oh, cool.
So it should be in the my archive. In
I
one of
think I
those
have
archives.
I got this hardcover collection of the first 5 or 6 books in the series, I think, and I coincidentally have a copy of The Spy Who Came In from the Cold. I have a few of those and other John le Carré books from the ones that I got from my grandma when I went to visit her when I was a kid, long after my grandpa died.
Mhm. Yeah, so it seems like you're all set then if you got the first 6 in hardback form.
Yeah, I had no idea there were so many because I read one just coincidentally when I was at my aunt and uncle's house, and I decided to read one of the books that they had there that I don't have, and it was one in the George Smiley series, and it was way newer, like it came out sometime within the last 10 years, I think. And so I had no idea how many there were because they're John le Carré novels that have really different sounding titles that are not labeled as being part of the George Smiley series. So I had no idea that there were so many of them.
Yeah. I think there's 6 of the Smiley books.
Oh,
And
okay.
then,
I thought there were maybe even more than that.
well, there's 6 books that are called like the George Smiley, and then there's like offshoots where he shows up in them.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So I have George Smiley and related novels. So Call for the Dead, Murder of Quality, The Spy That Came In From the Cold, The Looking Glass War, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Honorable Schoolboy, Smiley's People, The Secret Pilgrim, A Legacy of Spies, which came out in 2017. There's a big
Oh, there you
gap
go.
between A Legacy of Spies and The Secret Pilgrim. So you got a 1990 and then 2017.
Holy shit, 27 years later. That's
Well, it
like
looks like he
George R.
wrote
R.
a bunch
Martin
of other
gaps.
books. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but I don't know if
Yeah,
they're
it's
like,
interesting too that the one that got made into a movie is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which is the 6th or so in the series.
yeah. Let me see. 1, 2. Oh, it's book 5,
Okay,
and
that's
that's the one
interesting.
with. I watched that movie after Polish Christian Bale recommended it.
Oh, I didn't remember that he recommended it. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I should watch that one. And it's got Gary Oldman, of course.
Right, he was Smiley.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I guess there are a lot of these Smiley books. I just remember there being 6 because sometimes Goodreads will categorize like something in a series and then something's an offshoot. Because I think some of these books aren't like directly about George Smiley, but
Oh, okay.
he's like tangentially in the book.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's kind of like Cosmere-ish thing to do. Or
yeah, a
MC.
little bit.
Cosmere-ish or MCU-ish. Or Isaac
So
Asimov's universe-ish.
yeah, because there's a trilogy called the Carla trilogy, which is Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy, Honorable Schoolboy, and Smiley's People.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Carla trilogy is about fighting a particular enemy. Oh, I have to get into these things. There's so many goddamn books I gotta get through.
Yeah.
Seems like I can't get through them fast enough. But was there anything else you had read recently?
Yeah, what was... Oh, yeah. Yesterday I started reading this one called Survivor by Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote Fight Club. And this is
Oh.
his second book that he wrote right after Fight Club. And I think it's pretty interesting, but I've read several of Chuck Palahniuk's books, but I still always like Fight Club the most. But this one is interesting. It's about a guy who basically is raised in a cult, becomes a cult leader, and runs this fake suicide hotline where sometimes he tries to help people prevent them from killing themselves, and sometimes he tells people to kill themselves so he can feel this sense of power from it. And the book starts off with him, like it says this in the Goodreads description, so it's not really a spoiler, and it starts with this on the first page, that he's in a plane flying and he's planning to run it into a mountain to kill himself. So it starts with that, and then the whole rest of the book from that is how we got to that point. So it's really fucking weird and bizarre and interesting, just like Chuck Palahniuk always is.
I wonder if that guy that hijacked the commercial airliner and like committed suicide have read this book.
Yeah, who knows?
But when did this book come out, though?
Well, I bet it probably came out in the early 2000s or so, or maybe the 90s. Let me check.
Yeah, it's plausible he could have read it then.
Let me see. 1999.
Yeah, certainly possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So
wouldn't
that's your
surprise me.
okay.
I mean,
And then
apparently a
you
lot of people were like, according to Chuck Palahniuk, a lot of people actually started fight clubs and tried to pretend to be Tyler Durden too, because of probably more so watching the movie than reading the book, but from reading the book too.
oh wow.
Have you seen his Joe Rogan podcast? He talks about that on his first one.
I did watch the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
That's
that. Did you No, I thought that was pretty interesting.
yeah.
That podcast.
Yeah.
You read Genetic Effects of Radiation.
Yeah, I read that yesterday. It's actually literally a pamphlet that Isaac Asimov wrote for the United States government. I knew that he really understood actual science, but I didn't know that he was like to that level where he was literally respected enough in his scientific knowledge to be writing documents for the government.
Where'd you find this document?
I just stumbled upon it on YouTube. One of the I subscribe to a bunch of channels that post free domain audiobooks that people record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Black Skin, White Masks.
Yeah, I read that one. I didn't like it that much, but for its time, because it was written in the 60s, I can see why it's seen as a seminal and revolutionary book. It's basically kind of the idea that a lot of black people have adopted the culture of trying to be like white people because they're ashamed of their black culture, basically. That's basically kind of the argument in the book, and saying that you should be okay with embracing your black culture and you don't have to act like a white person if you're a black person, which by like today, and especially based on other books that I've read, is not really a revolutionary thought to me. Like, it seems obvious, but I can see how, especially for the 60s, that would be like a really groundbreaking book to write.
Hmm. I wonder how relevant that would be today.
Yeah, I mean, some people see it as relevant today. It depends on a lot on your political ideology, of course.
Hmm. You read Rogue Protocol, another Murderbot book?
Yeah, the third one. I thought that was pretty good. I actually like the second one more. I think the second one is my favorite so far, but this one is interesting too. In this one, Murderbot is pretending to be a genetically enhanced human instead of a survey unit, which is basically a security guard slash robot assassin. But it's pretending to be a genetically enhanced human, and due to some unforeseen circumstances, it has to reveal that it's actually a murder bot, and it has to work with the humans who actually agree to help him do his mission, which is yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that series is just as good as people like Daniel Green and Murphy Napier have said it was when they've recommended, like we've talked about before.
Ah. Also, curious. You gave a Anne Rice book 2 stars.
Yeah, I read the fourth one in her Vampire Chronicles series called The Tale of the Body Thief, and that
Uh-huh.
one was really disappointing and boring to me, actually, because it was about Lestat, and the third one was so fucking awesome, and there was so much going on. There was the resurrection of the Queen of the Damned, the vampire god. They go into the history of the vampires going back to ancient Egypt, and how witches worshipped vampires and vampire gods, and when the Queen of the Dam is resurrected, she wants to do this like basically grand kind of fucking final solution Nazi type of thing upon the whole world. And there's a whole bunch, and it involves all of the characters from the other novels that are only the main characters of the first one, like Louis in the first one, Interview with the Vampire, and like Lestat's mother who becomes his lover once he makes her a vampire in the second one, and all. Yeah, and the reporter who is played by Christian Slater in the movie in the Interview of the Vampire book, who he makes into, or who I think, I don't remember whether it's, oh yeah, it's Louis who makes him into a vampire, and he's in the third book, and then he's in this fourth one too. And Lestat and him have some sort of like gay relationship going on too. And it's basically just about this kind of vampire-like presence that basically develops the ability to possess other people's bodies and exchange souls with it. So Lestat, in this one, he can go into a human body and he can experience being a human again, which he really likes because he hates being a vampire, because basically everyone in the Vampire Chronicles actually really fucking hates being a vampire, because being immortal and living forever actually sucks if you actually do it, apparently. So but basically that's all that there is to this. He's enjoying being a human, and they have to find this body thief, and so they can take their power and stop them from being able to exchange souls with people. It's just not anywhere near as interesting to me as especially the third one was, but the first two books too.
Okay. Did you know that there's a new Interview with the Vampire show?
No, I didn't. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I didn't know if you were interested.
Where can you watch it?
I have no idea. You know what? It might be on Paramount Plus, but I don't know what I was watching, but I saw a commercial for it.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty cool.
So if you're interested, and I've been slowly getting through the Stand show.
Oh, cool. Do you like it?
The newer one? I like it better than the other one.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked that show overall. I thought it was pretty good.
It's funny because the guy that plays Stu is like the dad from the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
Oh, I haven't seen the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, but he's in lots of other movies too. Like he plays Cyclops in the X-Men movies, and he's in tons of other movies.
Oh, I forgot that he played Cyclops. I completely freaking forgot.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. He played Cyclops. What else did he play?
Well, I can't think of that many other ones off the top of my head. I know he's been in some kind of like chick flick TV shows that my mom has watched, and he was also in this comedy that I watched that came out years ago called Sex Drive, where he was this kind of jock style of guy who was the older brother of the main character of the movie, who was driving across the country to lose his virginity to this girl he liked, who he met online. Kind of standard type of teen comedy plot that way. That was kind of funny because he literally deliberately played a huge douchebag, so that was kind of funny.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I got to episode 4 or 5 until they started showing the Las Vegas stuff. They're basically sending Tom to go to Las Vegas. I like this Tom. It's a very entertaining Tom.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
But yeah, I like some of the changes. Like Nick is a little bit different.
Yeah, Nick is good. I like him in the show.
I think they all do well. Yeah, it's all well acted. I think I like all the characters in the show.
Yeah, I thought like there were just a few minor things that kind of bother me that make me not love the show, but it's still definitely good, and I would watch it again, and it's a good adaptation. But one of those things that I don't like is that they made they made Harold just like they made Harold still be a loser guy who feels like an outcast, but they made him a skinny guy instead of in how in the book he starts off as not just being a bullied outcast kid, but also a fat bullied outcast kid. And then I like that in the book because it makes it more interesting when he loses weight as he becomes more evil when they form that new community. And it's also interesting because it's almost like him being fat makes you empathize with the character even more earlier on in the book than in the show, I think.
Yeah, because the last thing I watched, I think he got some head from what's her name, Nadine.
Oh, right. Yeah, so they're doing that
Because
weird
Nadine is
sexual
saving her
relationship.
body
Yeah,
for the Dark Man.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's as far as I've gone, and then they sent the three people, and they sent the different. I guess the judge is a woman in this show.
Oh, I forgot that they changed the gender. I didn't even really notice. I totally,
Yeah, like an
there
older
like there's so
woman.
many characters in the book that I guess that's one that I don't remember that distinctly.
And the hot lesbian they send.
Right. Yeah, she's especially when she gets herself all dolled up when she's in
She's
Vegas at
basically
that
the
one
hottest
part.
person on the good side.
Definitely. By far.
And then they send Tom, the guy that looks like John Goodman or whatever from
Oh yeah, the guy who he can't read or write and he's literally mentally delayed, right?
yeah, he looks like John Goodman from that one movie.
Oh,
With the,
with the dude. What
yes, that movie.
the hell's that fucking I can't believe I'm forgetting. Oh, The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, he looks like John Goodman from The Big Lebowski, like
Yeah,
almost
he does.
exactly.
Yeah, he does.
But yeah, I'm getting through that. I think I'm almost done with the first season of Picard.
Sweet.
Um, I highly recommend it. It's like Star Trek with blood and cursing.
Oh, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, even
That sounds awesome.
Picard says curse words.
Oh wow, that sounds awesome actually. So,
Yeah.
what have you been reading?
Um, what did I just finish? I finished some Expanse short stories.
Oh, sweet.
So I finished Strange Dogs, which is a short story about two of the characters, um, and their origin story. So two of the characters in Strange Dogs, if you remember, there were these two characters that had been modified by um, the drones, and basically that made them eternal, like immortal. Like the same thing that happens to um, what's his name at the end? Oh, what's that damn character's name? Uh,
Miller? No.
no, not Miller. The guy
Amos?
that's all Amos. There you go. So it's those two children who had been confined by the Laconians, and it basically tells the story of how they were resurrected by the dogs.
Okay.
And then there's
Yeah,
the
I
other
read that.
story.
I read that, but I don't remember that much of the details of that many of the short stories.
Yeah, and that one it's just the girl spends a lot of time like at a wilderness area near her house, and she was feeding like the animals there, and there's like this weird like duck bird analog that she fed, and the food, human food from Earth is incompatible with food on this planet, so the duck was poisoned, and those drone dogs, she gives the duck to the drone dogs, and then they bring it back in a couple days and it's alive.
Oh, okay.
So her brother gets hit by a truck or something, and while everyone is not looking, she takes the body to the woods to have the dogs resurrect him, and he gets resurrected. They come back home, and his parents are like freaked out, and they call the military. And while they're doing that, she escapes with her brother. And during their escape, like she has no food to eat, she ends up eating the food from that planet, and she gets killed and resurrected by the dogs.
Right. Okay.
Um, Gods of Risk is about it's about yeah, what's her freaking name? These characters I just forget. What's the name of the tall like Pacific Islander girl?
Alex?
That's
Oh,
no,
girl.
who
Oh,
is
Bobby?
Bobby? There you go. It's about Bobby's nephew, and he's like trying to take some exams, and he's also like a drug cook. So it's a story about because they allude to this story, I know, in the show for sure, and also in the books, but we kind of get to see the whole details about what's going on. So he was like a drug cook on the side, and then there's something happens where like this girl like messages him for help, and he wants to get out of the game. So he offers to buy her. So he cooks a
Oh,
bunch
okay.
of drugs, and he goes to the guy, and the deal goes sour, and the guy's about to kill him, but Bobby comes out and wrecks him and says,
Okay.
"Hey, he's not part of this stuff anymore. Leave him alone."
Okay.
So yeah, those two short stories I read. I finished the Bernie Sanders book, Our
Oh, which
Revolution.
one? The
Our
I,
Revolution.
I think that's the one that I read too, because I was looking up what order they came out in to make sure I read them in order, and I read the first one.
Yeah, I liked the parts that were read by him. I probably would have liked the parts that were read by Mark Ruffalo if Bernie had read them.
Oh, yeah.
But which is kind of weird, but I think it's true though. I think if Bernie had actually read those, have liked them more. I really
Yeah,
liked his like backstory. I thought his backstory was super interesting. Like that he grew up poor. Like he worked a bunch of different like jobs
yeah.
that were kind of unexpected. It's like, oh, he's
And
worked like
that's
a bunch of different normal jobs.
it's funny too, because one of the criticisms that right-wingers make of him is that he's never had a real job, which is not true.
No, he worked a bunch of different like normal jobs, like growing
Yeah.
up and in early adulthood, and I thought I was like, oh, cool. He's kind of like a normal person. Like none of the jobs that he's ever had were like these super high paying jobs. They were like kind of working man's jobs, you know. And
Right.
then he became like a mayor,
Right.
you know. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Um, and just to hear like his backstory, you know, about his how he grew up, about how he enjoys Vermont and why he moved out there. It's because he enjoys rural life. And he talked about his first house, how it had an outhouse and shit. So he had to like build up his first house because it was really rural. And he talked about how he lived rurally and like he went fishing and all that other stuff. But that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of his positions and policies. They
Yeah.
just talked a lot about that.
I liked it when he got into the details of the policies and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so you know his details. I think one of the most powerful segments of his book was his critique of corporate media and basically that they control the narrative, and the narrative is always going to skew towards corporate interests.
Right.
That's like something that I know, but I have to be reminded of, ever so often. But yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. I wish you read the whole thing. Like, why did he pass off Mark Ruffalo for a while? I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'll read his other 2 books too.
Yeah, did I post them up on the archive?
Yeah.
I believe I did. Okay. So I read that one. Right now I'm working on another Sword of Truth book. Like the next
the 4th
one.
one? Oh, should I start reading that one soon too?
Yeah, you can if you want. I was just starting that. I'm actually pausing on that one right now, and I'm going to start reading. I started reading Best Served Cold again.
Oh yeah, I'm going to do that this week too, because of course we're going to talk about that on my channel with Tristram next weekend, which will be really fun.
Yeah, so I put that one on pause because I wanted to get back into that story and do a second reading and seeing how I like it this time around. But that's basically all I read. I think we already talked about me reading Faces on the Bottom of the Well.
Yeah, how it's really a very not good book by Derek Bell, and it's all this weird fiction that's just kind of boring, and that's why I highly recommend his book called Silent Covenants a lot more, because he actually gets into the policy and the history of the desegregation of black schools.
Yeah, Faces at the Bottom of the Well is very weird. Like, the quality of writing is variable. Like, some of it is like Hitchcock stuff. Like, I guess that one where the black people, like some aliens come and they want to take the black people away.
Yeah.
There's this other one that was like, to me, I was like, is this a black exploitation? But I guess like the main character of I don't know, this is kind of like a main character, right? He's like a civil rights lawyer.
Yeah.
That's in a number of these different stories. But in the one I read, for some fucking odd reason, he goes out in the middle of the woods to work.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And then he meets like this white woman who's apparently in some type of radical militia that protects like black people or something. And then they kind of have like a debate. And then after the debate, like some right wing militia person like stalks up on them. And then she like beats them up and tells the guy to send the message to his other like Nazi militia people to stay away or something. I was like, what the hell is this? This is like so like beyond believable.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, these weird nonsense stories. And then there's like some other story where the black guy falls in love with like some white chick, and there's like some weird conflict that goes on with his civil rights group. Like the black lady gets super upset that he's dating like a white chick.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is fucking weird. I finished it. I was like, yeah, that was a weird ass book. I was expecting nonfiction. I had no idea it was going to be a bunch of fictional short stories.
Yeah, Derek Bell should stick to nonfiction.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I was thinking about next week. I know you once made a suggestion, and I don't know if you want to do it on this channel or if you wanted to try to do it on your other channel. But I was looking through some of the Disney Plus movies and I saw something called Free Guy.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I think I might have suggested it to you or the other guys. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I would talk about it on your channel, or either one. Did you want to talk about that next week, maybe?
Yeah, I was thinking of checking that out. Either the Free Guy or the Joker. Which one do you prefer?
Oh, sweet. I like the Joker even more. So yeah, I would rewatch that, and I prefer talking about that even more than Free Guy.
Okay, we could do the Joker. I watched that about a week ago.
Sweet.
So if you want to talk about
Okay.
the Joker next week, I'm all good for that. That was like a pretty amazing movie. That's like holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, I love
This
that movie.
ending is
It's
fucking
so good.
nuts.
Yeah, man. It's so
It's
good
like
because it's so
super
horrifying.
realistic.
Yeah.
It's not like your fantastical super villain, type of movie. It's like all the stuff that happens is a little bit plausible.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. And I love how it makes Bruce Wayne's dad a bad guy too,
Yeah,
basically.
he's like an asshole. But
Yeah.
then you kind of find out it's like he's an asshole, but looks like he's kind of telling the truth. And his
Yeah, he's an
mom is fucking
asshole, but
wacky.
the Joker's mother is also fucking batshit crazy.
Yeah. That was a good movie. And man, he won an Oscar, right, for that performance?
I think he did. Yeah, I'm not sure.
If man, that was a great performance by the guy. I was
Sure fucking was, man.
because I was just thinking about his other performances, and man, this character is like nothing like he's ever done before.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I still like Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker even more, but his is still fucking amazing.
Yeah, I like his. I think Keith Ledger is basically a good analog for the comic and the
Okay.
tone. I think, however, the Joker is way more gritty. And when you're watching this movie, you feel so awkward watching it. Like it's almost you feel awkward and you feel weirdly bad about the Joker's situation, or at least the guy
Yeah,
who's the Joker.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
So yeah,
good.
we can talk about that next week.
Sure. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
So he did get best actor for that.
For the Joker. Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. That was a fucking amazing performance.
Yeah. So he got best actor in a leading role in 2020.
Right.
Okay. Freaking awesome. Well deserved.
Definitely.
All right. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do next week. And who's the weakest Joker, you think?
Jared Leto. Or actually, it's been a while. It's been a super long time since I've seen that one where is it Jack Nicholson? Yeah, when Jack Nicholson plays the Joker. I would have to rewatch that one to decide whether he or Jared Leto is worse. Although, like we talked about before when we talked about the Snyder cut of Justice League, when he's the more grimdark Joker in the Snyder cut, in that cutscene where we see the dark DC timeline which Bruce Wayne is dreaming about, that version of Jared Leto's Joker I thought was way better, but I still think he's way fucking weaker than Joaquin Phoenix and uh Heath Ledger.
Yeah, the tone is definitely different, the Joker from the 89 Batman is like the tone of that movie is not the same as, Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah,
Or
of
like
course.
the Joker is probably the darkest Batman related movie I've ever seen. It's
Definitely.
very dark, very edgy, and very awkward.
Yeah.
And I think it's just okay, we're gonna do an entire perspective from what we know as the villain from a lot of these Batman movies. And this is
Exactly.
an origin story
Yeah.
also. And it's interesting. I was like, man, this is definitely Oscar worthy stuff. I
Definitely.
just can't believe he put himself through that. Did you see how goddamn skinny he was?
Yeah, man.
I was
like
like, man,
Christian Bale
he
that
must have
way.
put himself through hell to do this crap.
Yeah, he's got the
It's a fish.
dedication that Christian Bale and Heath Ledger have in that way, and plenty of other actors too, of course.
Yeah, it's like I think the Joker. You just have to put those like really crazy actors in there. And the
Yep.
weird thing about like the Joker from Christian Bale, like Heath Ledger, he did like what rom-coms before,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
they
he was
threw him.
he of course he was the villain in Gladiator, but there was a long time for
Oh,
in
Joaquin
between.
Phoenix, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix. Oh yeah, Heath Ledger. Yeah, that's true. He was like mostly the romantic comedy guy, or he was the typical hero guy in A Knight's Tale, and that's really all I knew him from before I saw him in The Dark Knight, and that was just like fucking blew all of his other performances out of the water.
Yeah, because usually it's just something I noticed. The best actors are the people who can play villains well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, for sure.
So usually in a lot of these movies where there is a villain that is well acted, I swear some of them get like who we're talking about here? Like the most who plays villains a lot? Anthony Hopkins plays a lot of
Yeah,
villains.
yeah, for sure.
He's fucking good at acting. Of course, Gary Oldman played a lot of villains.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. So you know, the guys that can play villains are usually the ones who can act pretty good.
Mm-hmm. It's also
But yeah,
really
man,
cool when guys who do comedy then go on to do really good dramatic roles. Like, of course, Bryan Cranston as Walter White and
right?
Jason Bateman in Ozark, who is like has almost entirely been a comedy guy, and then in Ozark he's a fucking cold-hearted money launderer for a cartel.
An awkward, cold-hearted money
Yes.
launderer.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't. I need to get back into Ozark.
Yeah, I haven't watched the
So many.
newest season yet, but I watched the first 3 seasons so far.
Oh, well, you're ahead of me. I think I've only seen season 1 and 2.
Okay. 3 is fucking awesome.
Okay, yeah, I gotta get back into that. Who's another comedy guy that went serious?
Oh well, the again the from Breaking Bad, Bob Odenkirk, who was that serious lawyer role, and then he got even more serious in the spin-off Better Call Saul.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then he also recently did some shooter action movie. I forget what it was called.
Really, I still
Yeah.
haven't finished Better Call Saul. I think I
Yeah, I
need.
still haven't. I think I have one more season to watch.
I think I've watched the first 2 or 3 seasons. I'm not sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm pretty sure I watched at least the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's such a crazy show. I love the guy. There's a villain from Better Call Saul who's also the villain from Far Cry 3.
Oh, is the Gus Fring the guy who's the villain in Breaking Bad?
Oh, he's the villain from Far Cry 6.
Oh, okay. That's why I was confused because I knew he was also the villain in the Far Cry game, but I didn't realize there was one who was Far Cry 3 who was in Better Call Saul. Oh, that's interesting.
Let me see if I can get his name. I know in the game he's Voss is his name, Voss Montenegro.
Okay.
And he's played by let me see what the name of this actor's name is. Because he's the one of the main villains in Better Call Saul. Let me see. But he's kind of like the villain with the heart of gold.
Okay.
Because I know there's another villain in Better Call Saul who's like an extreme asshole.
Hey, another actor who does that is have you heard of the show Mr. Robot? I've been watching
Yeah, I
that
love that
show.
show. Oh my
Oh,
God,
okay.
you just started watching
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I just
That
started
show's
watching it
fucking
recently.
amazing.
Yeah, the show's fucking awesome, man. I'm watching season 2 right now. So I was just thinking about how Craig Robinson, who's that big fat black guy who always
Oh.
does comedy, is a fucking ruthless drug dealer guy basically in season 2 of Mr. Robot.
Yeah, when did you start watching it? Because that show's fucking phenomenal.
I don't know, pretty recently.
Yeah, that first season, that's like both first and second seasons have pretty big twists in them.
Yeah, definitely at the end of season 1. Don't spoil this 1 and season 2 for me, but yeah,
Yeah,
season 1
season
has
two
a
has a big twist too.
sweet. Oh, there's such an awesome fucking massive twist at the end of season 1. He's been hallucinating seeing his dead father all the time, and he's schizophrenic and trying to fight the alternate personality of his dead father all the time.
Yeah, so the name of the actor that plays that character is Canadian and from Quebec. Name is
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, his name is Michael Mando.
Okay.
And then Better Call Saul, who's he play? He's like one of the Mexican gangsters.
Okay.
Um, if I showed you a picture of him, you probably know who it is. Just
Are you
give me a
talking about the
second.
guy who plays the main character in Mr. Robot?
No, not him. It's this guy.
Okay.
Can you see it? Oh no, you can't see
Uh
it. This guy.
oh, yeah. Oh,
You
okay. Yeah.
know
No,
this guy, right?
I don't know. I don't recognize him, but okay.
He's in Better Call Saul.
Okay.
He's like one of those bad guys.
Okay.
Um, he plays okay because there's a guy with I don't know, like some type of business, and then an old gangster works at that business, and then he works for the old gangster.
Okay.
But what were you saying about that earlier? The other guy?
Which other guy? Oh, Craig Robinson?
Oh, how many? I think there's 4 seasons of Mr. Robot, if I'm not mistaken.
Sweet.
I haven't finished season 4. I was like, I keep needing to go back. As I know, they put it on Amazon Prime, Mr. Robot.
Yeah, that's why I've been able to start watching it. I haven't accessed it before for that reason.
But the guy who plays Elliot, amazing actor.
Definitely. Fucking amazing actor for sure. You know what's interesting too? My parents recently that I saw they were watching that movie based on the history of Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, and he plays Freddie Mercury in that movie.
Right. I think
Fucking
he played that.
completely different type of character.
It's funny because I've seen him in other movies, and he always kind of has that weird kind of awkwardness to him.
Yeah.
'Cause I forgot what other movie I saw. It was like a movie, like a teen movie where he played like a kid in detention or something like that.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, this is the show is so cool. It's just like I expected because I've heard people talk about it before and say that it's interesting and philosophical, and it's kind of like Fight Club in a way because Elliot really does have that philosophy, and he basically joins an anarchist hacker terrorist group, which is really cool.
Yeah, and then E Corp, which is basically like Amazon or something like that.
Yeah, I love also in the show how even when other people say the name of the corporation, he hears it as Evil Corp.
Yeah, and then BD Wong is also in it.
Who's that?
He's like one of the bad guys from Jurassic Park. Well, the
Oh,
bad
okay.
scientist guy.
Okay.
He's like the
Oh,
Asian dude. The guy
oh,
that
okay. Okay. Yeah. I think he was in the episode that I watched yesterday. He was talking to that hot redhead FBI agent who finds the arcade.
Yeah, it's such a crazy freaking show and
Yeah,
weird. And you're like
yeah,
second guessing everything that Elliot's doing because he's fucking nuts.
yeah. That's it. That's another way that I just found out recently in season 2 that is similar to Fight Club, which is that he realizes that he switches into his Mr. Robot personality every time he goes to sleep.
hmm Like he doesn't know. Like reality is very liquid for the guy.
Mhm.
And then we have Christian Slater, who is Mr. Robot. It's so
Yeah, this
weird.
is definitely my favorite role of his ever by far.
Oh, him playing Mr. Robot, this
Yeah,
freaking crazy terrorist guy
yeah,
slash Elliot's father.
yeah,
Because I think it's a personification of his father. Like that's who he's seeing. But
yeah,
it's also like a split personality. It's such a weird show.
yeah, definitely.
And there's like a lot of drug use, and then he has like this hot sister that he tries to bang.
Yeah, he forgets that's a crazy part too, he forgets that she's his sister.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so weird. But yeah, that first season is pretty damn crazy. I remember
Yeah.
I was like, "What? You got to be kidding me!" And then you're like
Yeah,
thinking about the earlier episodes. I was like, "Holy shit!"
yeah, there were, like, throughout that first season too, there were so many holy shit moments.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. I need to finish it.
Yeah, it's a good fucking
Yeah.
show, man.
Yeah, and the main characters get killed in that, so it's interesting.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Alright.
TV shows. Yeah, TV shows, TV shows, TV shows.
Alright. Well, anything else that you got to talk about that you read recently or anything?
Not read. Haven't really read nothing. I just been watching my One Piece. I started watching Cowboy Bebop again.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you've seen that before.
Yeah, I watched the anime when I was a kid, but I don't remember it that much. I do want to rewatch the anime and that the live action one with Harold from Harold and Kumar because they're both on Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen the first episode of the live action one. So I've kind of been rewatching the original, and I think after I'm done with the original, I was going to go back and watch finish watching the live action one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's probably what I'll do too, rewatch the original and then watch the live action.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right.
So did you have any plugs you want to throw out there?
Yep. Check out Mindgasms, my channel, where Dusty and I talked about some ridiculous political shit yesterday with Brett Weinstein and Heather Haying, the internet famous evolutionary biologist, having made a video the other day promoting this wacko mass formation psychosis anti-vaxxer conspiracy theory. And also we talk about Jimmy Dore's video where he accuses other lefty YouTubers like Kyle Kalinske, Crystal Ball, I think also Sam Cedar and the Young Turks of being CIA operatives. So that was fun. And yeah, I'm still probably, that was supposed to happen today, but it didn't end up happening. So I'm still going to do that episode with Ben Burgess soon about various political topics, about anarchism and anarcho-capitalism, that recent drama with AOC and Crystal Ball about the Amazon unions, and Alexander Dugin, who's a philosopher who supposedly has a lot of influence on Putin, and got lots of other videos coming up too. And we're going to, oh yeah, like we alluded to earlier, next weekend, you and Tristam and I are going to talk about that book, Best Served Cold, which is my favorite revenge story of all time. And it's the awesome first standalone in Lord Grimdark, aka Joe Abercrombie's fantasy standalone series of his First Law world. So, and yeah, I'm also going to either next week or the week after that I'm going to do a debate with Chris, who does a lot of our movie chats with us about that Bill 67 that Jordan Peterson has been complaining about lately. That's been instituted in Ontario here in Canada. And yeah, look out for all that stuff. Check out my channel, Mindgasms.
All right. So you're gonna debate him, huh?
Yeah, because he basically agrees with Jordan Peterson about the dangers of the bill becoming a federal thing more than I do.
Oh, what does the bill do again?
It's basically like an anti-racist one. It's going to institute like education about different races and cultures and racial sensitivity training and stuff like that. So some of that stuff is dumb, like racial sensitivity training, but I don't think there's any danger of it becoming a federal thing. It's just been proposed so far. It hasn't been passed, and if it is passed, it will, at least of right now, just be a provincial thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
But
see.
yeah,
Well, what is the danger of this training? Is it just that it's useless?
well, I mean, to me, that's the only danger. But to Jordan Peterson, it's like this fucking authoritarian woke takeover of all of Canada or some shit, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Always fun to talk. Always fun to talk with you, man. And yeah, like I said, check that out on Mindgasms for people watching.
All right, man. Well, you take it easy, and I'll talk to you next week when we talk about we're gonna do our chat on the Joker,
Yes.
and that'll be fun as hell, and
All
a
right.
little
Yeah, for
depressing and
sure.
weird.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the
All
movie.
right. And then, of course, Best Surf Cold. I'm excited rereading that. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
I
me
want to get
too.
into some good stuff here.
Yeah, me too. All right. Always fun to
All
talk,
right.
man.
All right, you take it easy. See ya.
All right.
Thank you
Adios until
for
next time, everyone.
Yep. Thank you for staying by, and please like and subscribe, and join us next week when we talk about some Joker. All right. Good night,
Yes.
y'all.
Adios.